I'll admit this is probably going to be the longest section just because, you know, we have to do it in 2 moves, which means we gotta let the AI think here. Let's see. What do we got? Queen Sacrifice. Yep. Because I need this, king to have to move up for the checkmate on the H file. I gotta force it to do that. Are you thinking, why would moving it onto the H file help you here if I move it forward? Well, if it moves forward, its only option, you know, if we bring the rook over, is obvious. You know, it's gonna be moving sideways, but the pawn's blocking that spot. It's game over if it moves back over. Can't. It's screwed. Oh, so we can do that. Okay. Well, let's see. Well, the most obvious move would be to threaten with the queen here. I mean, he doesn't really have a counter to that. He can't move a piece into the way of my check. He can't take a piece, so he's going to have to move away. And then we can move up and let the pawn be our backup unit. Like, you can't take the queen, because I'll counter it by taking you with my pawn. Don't usually get to say that. Queen Sacrifice again, yeah. We're obviously set up on the D file for checkmate because the king's stuck behind those pawns. Like, this is probably the most obvious of the hard puzzles. Just because you can already guess what their counter is going to have to be. Just looking at the board setup. Okay. We're gonna have to threaten with the knight, aren't we? But how? That's out. Oh wait, no it's not. Because we have this bishop on this line, so if we move the knight over here, he can't block the check, nor can he take both pieces simultaneously, so he's gonna have to let me just set it here and move the king out of the way. Okay. And then you might be thinking, well, what about e7, you know, for checkmate? Like, yeah, it'll be between these 2 rooks, but remember, there's a bishop over here guarding this diagonal. So we're going to have to slap ourselves, bam, right between those pawns for checkmate. Well, time to take this puzzle. Okay, this is going to be an odd one. Okay, this is a weird setup I could see happening, you know, somewhat. You know, losing your queen to the bishop sucks, but, you know, we can counter here. Because we can attack with the bishop on this pawn. And the black king can't take it because the horsey boy is protecting it. So he's got no choice but to move out of the way. Come on, game. And that was a bad place to move. But it's only choice. He couldn't move here because I was protecting it. Now we can just bring this bad boy up. And it's game over. It can't take the bishop. It can't move out of the way of the knights. It's just boned. And any diagonals that could move on were also protected by that same bishop. So, you know, it was screwed. Okay, what we got here? Queen Sacrifice play, ain't it? If we move here, he's gonna have to take either he's gonna take with the rook, probably. It'd be a mistake, but it's the most obvious move that'll come to your mind, probably. Like, I'll take the queen with the rook, and not realize, you know, you're pinning your king in. Amateur mistake, because now this knight can come around and bam, there's nothing to stop me from taking that king now. You can't get rid of my knight, and you can't move the king out of the way because it's pinned. Admittedly, that was a checkmate caused by the AI being dumb. Oh, another queen sacrifice play, gotcha. These puzzles love making you sacrifice your queen. He's gonna have to take back with the king. You already tell from the setup he's gonna have to do that. The rooks can't do it. Those pawns definitely can't do it. Because the queen's not a diagonal to him. And that one pawn's blocking the queen there, so it's screwed. Can't get into this play. Come on, let the king move forward, just take my queen. Then we're gonna have to move the other rook there over to the H file. We'll leave one on the G file, obviously where it's at. Now there's no way for this king to escape, because I own both those files. Okay. Well, now, where's the king at? Over there, eh? Well, guess we'll bring you the queen up. I mean, he can't do anything to get rid of the queen there. It's safe. That means I can then move it in next turn for checkmate. Because the AI is going to make a dumb decision. Because a human player would probably look at that and be like, oh man, I need to move that horsey boy. But there's nowhere to move it to. That's the problem. He trapped it. Because it can't move it because those pawns and the queen are in the way. So it has no choice but to move another piece. It just doesn't move the right piece. So we can come in here and boom, checkmate. Yeah, definitely a sad situation there. Okay. This one's probably one of the less obvious ones. Because we're going to have to move the bishop up for this checkmate. Yeah, I know. You think the king would just take that piece, but they're going to move another piece instead. They're going to get rid of the horsey boy, I'm pretty sure. With the queens, they're going to move back up that diagonal with it. Odd choice, but whatever. Which means we can move our queen here, and it's now protected by the bishop. And the queen protects the bishop from being taken. And the queen obviously, you know, nails it, you know, going forward. So the king is literally helpless. But that's because the AI made a bad decision earlier, you know? It's kind of annoying. Okay. Now what I want to do. Gosh darn it. Pretty sure that's a bad move. Okay, I think I want to take over here. Oddly enough. And yeah, I think he'll fall back with the king. You can't move forward and take the rook. And there's no way for him to take it besides using that pawn. And the king decides to have to do the stupid thing here. Because again, the smart move would be just this one, you know, slaps down and takes this piece. Because now I can bring the queen over here and take this piece, and now I own, you know, everything in front of the king, so it can't move anywhere. And it's checkmate. But that could have been easily blocked. So some of these puzzles are hard, only because, you know, you wouldn't think that would be the solution. Because you have to assume, you know, how the AI is going to respond to your stimuli you give it. And sometimes, you know, like, it doesn't make sense, because I can see what's going to happen if you fall backwards there. It would have made way more sense to snag it. You know, just slam that pawn over onto the H file and get rid of it. Well, maybe that would have opened up, you know, other issues. Well, short credit run, that's it. There are no more puzzles to solve. We have solved all of them. Till next time, then. See ya.